Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. You know what? I've got a very interesting episode for you today. Very interesting episode. A lot of people ask me as to why do I mix marketing and politics. A lot of people write to me in their comments and even in mails. They write to me saying that, what do you think? Toothpaste and a vote is the same or what? How can you compare marketing and politics? Today, I'm going to give two answers. First of all, I will tell you why I think marketing and politics are related. And secondly, I will try and figure out 10 points that will help build a strong opposition. And my 10 points are purely from a marketing perspective. Let's get right into the show. First, let me answer the first question. Why do I mix politics and marketing? There was this great advertising guy, great advertising personality called Alec Padamsee. Alec used to be the head of Lintas. Once upon a time, he passed away. Alec used to very famously say that a consumer is not a moron. She's your wife. Absolutely correct. What he meant by that is a consumer is a person who chooses one brand over another, who understands what he or she needs and buys the product accordingly. A consumer is a person who fixes value to a product and makes it into a brand. So a consumer is not a moron. Now, this is the same consumer who happens to be your wife, your brother, your father, your husband, your uncle, your auntie, is the same consumer who chooses one brand over another, who fixes a value to a brand. He or she is the same person who goes and votes. The same fashion, he or she fixes a value to a party over another. He or she goes and votes for one person over another. Same person. Therefore, marketing and politics are related. Now, you'll ask me that the voting and buying a toothpaste is the same? Of course not. But buying a toothpaste and buying a car is also not the same. But yet, both are marketing, isn't it? What you look out to when you go to buy a toothpaste is very different to what you look out when you go to buy a car. So, what is common between buying a toothpaste and buying a car is something we call as consumer insight. And consumer insight exists when it comes to buying a toothpaste, when it comes to buying a car, and when it comes to choosing a party over another. That is why I say that politics and marketing are related. Now, let me come to the second part of my editorial. My second part is slightly longish, but believe me, I'll make this interesting. The second part of my editorial talks about 10 things that the united opposition can do to ensure that they prove to be a formidable competition to the current dispensation by 2024. And I'm going to talk about this from a marketing perspective. So here goes my 10 points. My point number 1 is start with the question, why? I say this is because a lot of our politicians believe that they have inherited votes, inherited constituencies. They believe that the votes should naturally come to them because possibly their parents or their grandparents or their forefathers or whoever were ministers or prime ministers or chief ministers or whatever, or kings for some. Okay, so they believe that they have inherited votes. The question is, India 2024 is going to vote differently. The first question that all these opposition needs to ask themselves, their party, and have an internal consensus is, why should a voter vote for me? Why should a voter not vote for Bharatiya Janata Party or Narendra Modi, but vote for his party or him? This is the first question. Start with the question why. Possibly then start formulating the offer that they can give to the voters offer that could be better than what the current dispensation is giving them. So first and foremost is this inheritance thing has to be thrown out and the slate has to be fresh. The slate has to be wiped fresh. That's the first point. The second point is, you see, people like winners. People like winners. Look at where Mamata Banerjee, from where to where she was catapulted after that superb win of West Bengal. Do you remember these pictures? These are the pictures that we Indians are proud of, and these pictures made these great people celebrities and loved by one and all in India, because they showed us to win the picture out of a winner. Be a winner. At least strive to be a winner. You have to show that there is fire in your belly to win. That's when people stand by you. So my point number 2 is the world follows a winner. You see, my third point is be everything that the current market leader is not. Which means, in other words, what I'm trying to say is be unique. If your current market leader says, I give you tan ki shakti and man ki shakti, you say, I make you taller. You are being uniquely different to the market leader. Because if you start saying that I will give you more tan ki shakti and more man ki shakti, nobody is going to buy you. What I mean by that, if one party is talking about Hindutva, you talk about more Hindutva. If one party is talking about Ram, you talk about Shiva, or you talk about Hanuman, or you talk about Lakshman, will not help. If one party talks about Hindutva, you need to have your unique selling proposition. You cannot ape the market leader. You cannot copy the market leader. You cannot be better than the market leader saying that I say my prayers 4 times. You only say it 3 times. Or I say it 11 times if you are saying it 5 times. You can't do that. You need to have your own unique selling proposition. Create your own unique selling proposition, and that brings you to my most important factor, point number 4th, and that is define your target audience. You see, today, if you ask a politician who is your target audience, he or she will say everybody in the constituency is my target audience. Everybody in India is my target audience. No, that doesn't work that way. Narendra Modi created his strong voter base by focusing on Hindu middle class. That was his core audience. And that core audience made him Narendra Modi. If the opposition, the united opposition comes together, they need to define that one core audience that they are going to focus on. If each of them goes and battles their own target audience and focuses on their own target audience, all this is not going to come together and garner votes. All this is not going to come together and convert into seats. They may get votes, they may get vote percentage, but that will not convert into number of seats. Percentage of votes and seats, there is a huge difference between both. So if you are going to have multiple audiences, each going to focus on their own audience, let us not think that all of this audience will come together and give you the seats that you deserve. My point number 5th, and that is creating brand advocates. If Bharatiya Janata Party has created this kind of a voter base, this kind of a support base, is because it has got tremendous brand advocates. They have got tremendous brand advocates. They have got the RSS who are their brand advocates. They have got the Hindu middle class. So they have created fabulous brand advocates. Who are the brand advocates that the opposition is creating? This question relates to the earlier point of defining your target audience. Brand advocates are normally people who experiences the brand. When you get to experience the brand, you become an advocate of the brand. Same is the case with politics. When a voter experiences his leader, when the voter gets to interact with his leader, when the voter gets to see his leader, when the voter sees the leader amidst them, that's when the voter changes into a brand advocate, into an advocate of that particular leader, of that particular party. Now, a lot of leaders does that. A lot of leaders do that. A lot of leaders go to colleges and do push-ups and interact with their voters and play football and all of that. A lot of leaders do it. But that is just before the elections. And that's the problem. And that's the problem. The problem is they are not consistent. My next point is consistency. Blow hot, blow cold. This is what we see from the opposition constantly. The one thing that lacks is consistency. The one thing that lacks in opposition. Mamata Banerjee has started being consistent after her win. I should say that. So that is an exception, currently at least. At least she has been consistent. She's been growing as a bigger and a bigger and bigger opposition leader. But that being said, the rest of the opposition consistency is blow hot, blow cold. Rahul Gandhi is at times visible, at times invisible. So this being incognito, being very aggressive for 2 months and whoosh, vanishing after 2 months, being very aggressive when there is election and whoosh, vanishing after the election, this games will not work anymore. Whether it is Rahul Gandhi or whether it is Arvind Kejriwal or whether it is Mamata Banerjee or whether it is anybody or Sharad Pawar. It will not work unless and until you are consistent. My point number 7, what everybody is trying to avoid, and that is creating or projecting a clear prime ministerial face. A lot of people, I spoke to Mr. Yashwant Sinha a couple of two weeks back. In fact, it's there on the channel. You can have a look at it. Everybody says, why should we decide the prime ministerial candidate? Why should we decide the prime minister? We will decide the prime ministerial candidate once we win. It is the MPs that who should decide the prime ministerial candidates. That's what the constitution says. Now, marketing says that the market decides the rule of the game. The market decides that. Look at Bharatiya Janata Party. If you take Bharatiya Janata Party as a brand, what does Bharatiya Janata Party offer you? Bharatiya Janata Party offers you Narendra Modi. That is what Bharatiya Janata Party offers you. What does Bharatiya Janata Party say? Bharatiya Janata Party says that Narendra Modi possibly is one of the best prime ministers that India can ever have. This is the brand offer of Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, as united opposition, you are competing Bharatiya Janata Party. That is the current market leader. You are competing that brand. And what is your offer? I don't know. I don't know who will be the prime ministerial candidate. My MPs, once they get elected, that is once you elected, then they will decide who is the prime ministerial candidate. Does that sound right? This is what I said. Don't think voters are morons. You are not deciding your prime ministerial candidate because you cannot decide your prime ministerial candidate. Because that you have not reached a consensus on the prime ministerial candidate, else you would have discussed, decided and told the nation by now that this is my prime ministerial candidate. You tell me who is the prime minister, who is going to be your prime ministerial candidate. I will then decide whether that person, he or she is good enough to be the prime minister of India. I will decide whether he or she, according to me, is a good administrator or not good administrator. I will decide according to me versus the market leader. That means versus current Mr. Narendra Modi. If that person stands to be better than him or worse than him, I will decide that. If you don't, then I don't know who you are going to come up with. I don't know who you're going to come up with. What if I vote you and then you come up with a prime ministerial candidate who I don't want? Why should I take that risk? My point number 8 is learn to use media. You see, by saying that this is Godi media, that is that media, this is this media, this man is always that, this man is always this, he is close to. You see, what were you doing when the media was being converted to Godi media? What did the party, what did all these opposition leaders do to stop media from being Godi media? My point number 9 is be bold. You know why we vote leaders? We vote leaders because we are not as bold as you are. We are simple people. Therefore, we vote leaders. No, that is why we call these people leaders. You people leaders. People who are political party heads and all that. We call you leaders. Why? Because you are the person who should stand there and say, "Listen, I am going to fight." If you yourself are going to coy down and keep quiet like what Akhilesh Yadav is doing currently in Uttar Pradesh, if you are going to be quiet because you've got cases against you and you know that cases, if you're going to do that, then why do I need a leader? Then you and me are the same. Then why are you a leader? So somewhere down the line, if you want me to see you as a leader, if you want me to believe you as a leader, if you want me to follow you, if you want me to be your advocate, I think you need to be bold. And my final point, look good. Look good. Look good is very, very important. Very important because somewhere down the line, for the next 3 years, 4 years, it should come through that the opposition is the alternative. The combating brand should look good, look better than the brand leader. Always. When it comes to packaging, when it comes to pricing, when it comes to distribution, when it comes to dealer distribution, when it comes to POS, that is point of sales, everywhere, a competitive brand should look better than the market leader. Because first and foremost is you need to change consumer preference. Do things which makes you look good. Say things which makes you look good. Be connected to your target audience. Don't do anything that will antagonize media. Don't do things that will antagonize the mass. Don't say stupid things that may put your image and your party's image in trouble. Look good. Because finally, like I said before, a competing brand has to look better than the market leader. It's a tough job, but then that's how you compete in the market. So these are my 10 points that I would like to share with you. And these are my 10 points that I think that the united opposition should adopt is because sheer dabbling with numbers is good. When, like I said before, is good when your party is poised to win. But sheer numbers without a clear strategy, a clear marketing strategy will not help when you are fighting such a large brand. That's the point I wanted to make tonight. Till I see you next time. Namaskar.